Hi everyone. I'm just making hopefully a short video about why I chose to sell t-shirts as a fundraiser instead of doing something more traditional like a GoFundMe. A few facts about pancreatic cancer, and the reasons why I'm doing this. Sorry, I have to keep remembering looking there. Okay, so why is I felt funny doing a GoFundMe. I know it's a great source of revenue for people. However, to me, I just can't get it out of my head that it feels like begging. So at least this way, I'm killing three birds with one stone. The people who buy a shirt are getting a shirt that they can wear. Also, when you wear it, hopefully people will ask you, what's that all about? Why do we have to keep Adrian singing? And then with the facts I'm going to give you about pancreatic cancer, hopefully you can raise awareness, possibly save a life, possibly increase fundraising for this horrible disease, because it is the deadliest cancer, but it's the least funded and researched cancer. And finally, I get some money to make my life a little more fun and keep my mind off the inevitable, which even though I've done amazingly well so far compared to a lot of people, anyway. So, facts about pancreatic cancer. Okay. If any of you are affected by this, you might want to tune out because these facts are not pleasant. Okay, in 2019, an estimated 56,770 Americans will be diagnosed, and more than 45,750 will die from the disease this year. That's only 11,000 people who will survive the year, and I tried to do the math, but with my chemo brain, I don't know what percentage, but I know that most people after diagnosis are dead within 3 to 6 months. It's the third leading cause of cancer deaths, surpassing breast cancer, even though it is a much more rare cancer. It's expected to become the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths in 2020, which is only next year, surpassing colorectal cancer. It's one of the few cancers for which the 5-year survival rate hasn't improved much in the last 40 years. Maybe improved a percentage point or two. And it's got the highest mortality of all cancers, all stages combined, and only 9% will survive 5 years from diagnosis, but that's including the people who were able to get surgery and the people who weren't. For those who weren't able to get surgery, like me, only 1 to 2% of us are alive after 5 years. Now, and also 80% of us, the cancer is caught too late because there's hardly any symptoms until it's too late. So only 20% are eligible for the surgery. We don't know why people get this cancer. There's a few theories, but very few definites. There's risk factors, such as smokers are twice as likely to get it, a strong family history, chronic pancreatitis, excessive alcohol use, obesity, diabetes, and also the BRCA1 and 2 genes or mutations also put you at risk. And if any of these seem to describe you, especially if you've been recently diagnosed with diabetes and it doesn't really run in your family, demand to get a ultrasound, because I was diagnosed with diabetes 6 months before I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And who knows? That's one of those things I try not to do, but because it doesn't run in my family, I wish my family doctor had said, let's just do an ultrasound because this doesn't seem right, but they didn't. Also, if you've had a family member, close family member, die of this disease, you should start getting ultrasounds or CAT scans 10 years before the age at which they were diagnosed. The symptoms are very vague, and usually they mimic other conditions, and but the symptoms are pain, either abdominal pain. For 6 months, I had upper abdominal pain that they thought was gallbladder attacks, and back pain, because sometimes if the tumor is enlarged, it presses on a nerve in the back. Weight loss without trying. Yellowing of the skin and eyes, which is called jaundice, which I did have right before diagnosis. Loss of appetite, nausea, changes in your bowel movements. Sounds gross, but yeah, it takes quite a few flushes to get them down, or till the bowl's clean. And finally, diabetes, like I said before. Also, one theory is a sudden onset of depression. If depression isn't typical for you, has been in research, they're thinking it's an early sign. Now, treatment, this is the problem. Like I said, only up to 20% are discovered while surgery is still an option. Because if it's spread outside the pancreas or wrapped around a vein, it's not. You can't have surgery. And most of us, like me, were diagnosed at stage 3 or 4, which is too late for cancer. So that's the horrible news, and that's why, if anything, if you feel like it's better to donate to research than to buy a t-shirt, I'm all for it. The best charity is called Lust Garden Foundation, L-U-S-T, Garden. Because of the cable companies in America, 100% of every dollar you give to them goes right to research, unlike some cancer charities where less than 10% actually goes to research. Now, so what am I going to do with the proceeds of my t-shirts? My number one wish is to travel as much as I can. However, that might not be an option. So if travel isn't an option, I would like this money to make my life as enjoyable and financially stress-free as possible. I am very lucky that a lot of my expenses are taken care of. However, they're so if I could travel, I've got a big bucket list, and I would love to travel maybe 1 or 2 weeks out of every month until I'm not able to anymore. The problem with that, though, is to get travel health insurance outside of my country, I need to be stable for 90 days. Now, as a lot of you might know or not know, with this cancer, it's very hard to be stable for 90 days. But I just got a CAT scan today. I'll know on Tuesday if I can travel, and if I can, I'm going to have to strike while the iron is hot and go. But if I can't travel, I would just like to help with things like maybe cleaning my house, walking my dog, cooking, shoveling snow. All those things have become much harder because the chemo does deplete the hemoglobin in my blood, which means that for several weeks out of the month, I don't have the ability to carry oxygen in my blood cells, and I just have no energy. So, I might have to hire someone here and there for things that I can't do. I'd like to start singing lessons if I can't travel, and at least continue to improve my voice and keep singing. I'd like to be able to afford a couple of therapist sessions, especially someone who specializes in cancer and accepting and preparing for death, and also anxiety and depression, which for me I've had my whole life, but of course the cancer's made it much worse. It'd be nice to pre-plan my funeral, not anything extravagant, just a simple service and cremation, no fancy coffin, no showing, but just something so my family doesn't have to go through that. Also, it'd be nice to have someone help organize my house and my finances. I think it's called Swedish death cleaning, basically, so that when the inevitable happens, my family won't have to go through that horrible process of figuring out what's important, what's not. Also, I do need to go to a lawyer, and even though I don't have much, I still need to make a will and power of attorney. And finally, I want to die at home when it comes to that. One time I was in the hospital and 6 people were dying in the hospital. And sure, they were surrounded by their family, but I do not want to die in a cold hospital, no matter how nice the nurses are. So I have most of it arranged. The rental of a hospital bed, a nurse will come in to give me IVs and things like that. However, they don't clean you, they don't wash you, they don't feed you. So I would have to get home care aid a couple hours a day, or maybe every second day. I know all this sounds morbid, but these are the facts. And there are some wonderful positive stories. If you go on a website called PanCan.org, it's an American pancreatic cancer charity, and they help me a lot. But they have pages of success stories, because if you ever look this up, you remember those statistics. It's very scary, and they were the only place where they had pages and pages of people who, like me, were stage 4 and they're still alive after 20 years, or the cancer just totally disappeared. I have friends in some Facebook groups that have defied the odds. So I know I've already defied the odds. I'm alive 4 years after diagnosis when I was given 2. However, I still have to face facts and prepare for the inevitable, because unless I get hit by a bus or something, eventually this disease is going to take me. Hopefully much later than sooner. But the old adage I live my life by is to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So thank you everyone who's supported me by buying a t-shirt. And again, if you'd rather donate right to something that can help obliterate this disease, or at the least make it a manageable illness, I recommend donating to the Lust Garden Foundation. And and in future, because this campaign, it's only for 21 days, in future I'm going to make more t-shirt campaigns. However, they're not going to be personalized to me. They're going to be more general t-shirts for cancer fighters and their families and friends. So a few of them I'm working on is a t-shirt that says, "This is what stage 4 cancer looks like," with a fist, because the thing is, I keep getting, "Oh, you look so healthy, you can't be sick." And so many of us nowadays, because of the advances in chemotherapy, we're not losing our hair. We don't look sick. But sometimes we want people to know we have cancer, or for whatever reason. Just an example, someone criticized me because I didn't clear all the snow off my car. I felt like telling him, look, I have stage 4 cancer. I have no energy right now. It was all I could do to get to this grocery store, but I didn't say anything. But if I had a hat or a shirt, I have another friend who's got bladder cancer, who has a stent coming out of his back. He has to sit on the bus in the section for people with disabilities and older people or pregnant people, and they give him such a dirty look because he looks so healthy. But if he had something that said, nobody knows I have bladder cancer, then, people might be more generous towards him. And another one I was thinking of is, remember, you're braver than you think and stronger than you know. So it'll be just more general. And finally, I want one that says, I will never give up, and then the ribbon for the color ribbon for their particular cancer, and then a hashtag at the bottom that says, F cancer. I don't like to use the full word. So anyway, thank you very much. Thank you for sticking with me for 16 minutes. I would have edited this down, but again, with my chemo brain, this is the maximum thing I could do right now. So thank you very much to those who've already bought my t-shirts and shared it on their social media, the link. And thank you all for being so supportive. Okay, bye-bye.